everybody, Keren here from tuppencecoloured.co.uk, and thank you very much for joining me today. This is what I've been making today. This little box is sized to fit 2 Yankee Candle tea lights, and I'm going to show you how I calculated the measurements for it and how I made it. Stay with me. A little while ago I shared a spreadsheet that I put together that tried to take the heavy mathematics out of a full flat box. So I've done a similar spreadsheet, and this time for the pizza style box. So first of all I need to measure what I'm going to be fitting into my box. So there's my tea light, and I've drawn around it, and I have my ruler, and I can see that it is about 1.5 inches, and that's going to be 1.5 inches that way and 1.5 inches that way because it's a circle. So I'm going to call that 1 3/4 because that will allow me a little bit of ease. Now I want to have 2 of them, so I'm going to do 1 3/4 times 2, and that is going to be 3.5 inches. So the measurements that I need are 1 3/4 by 3.5, and the depth of it is 3/4 inch, so I'm going to give a little bit of ease and I'm going to call it 1 inch, and those are the measurements that I'm going to put into my spreadsheet. So because the spreadsheet tells me so, I cut my card to 3 3/4 inch by 10 inches. And now I'm going to score at 1 inch and at 2 3/4 inch, which is there. And on the long side, I'm going to score at 1 inch, 4.5 inches, 5.5 inches, and 9 inches. I'm just going to burnish those lines that I scored, because it'll make it easier for me to see where I need to snip in just a moment. So this is how my box is going to go together. Now I need to do some trimming, and I need to decide which is going to be the top and which is going to be the bottom. So this is going to be my top, and I wanted to tuck outside of the bottom, so I wanted to fold over. So when I'm trimming just outside of the score line. Can you see? And I'm just going to take a little sliver away. I'm going to do the same on this side. Take that sliver away. Now these pieces are going to tuck inside the base. So same thing here. I'm going to cut outside of the score line, take away a sliver, and just outside of the score line and take away a sliver. Okay. So this is going to be the bottom, and I want that to be slightly smaller than the top. So in this case I'm going to cut to this side of the score line and take away a sliver. Inside of the score line and take away a sliver, and just to this side of the score line and take away a sliver, and this side of the score line, this side of the score line and take away a sliver. Okay, So when I come to put that together, that bit will be slightly smaller than that bit. I'm going to do one more thing before I lose track of which is going to be the top and which is going to be the bottom, which would be like me. I've got a 3/4 of an inch circle punch here, and I'm just kind of lining it up with what is going to be the front flap, and I'm just taking out a little half circle. It's going to do two things. It's going to let me know that this bit is the top, and it's also going to make it much easier to open the box when it's finished. Usually I say decorate the box while it's flat because it's going to be so much easier, but this is quite a straightforward shape, and it's fairly sturdy, so I'm going to break my own rules and I'm going to make up the box before I decorate it. I may live to regret it. It would not be the first time, but here we go. Okay, so I'm going to start with the box base. I put adhesive on all of the flaps. I've also got adhesive on my table, so I'm going to have to sort that out in a moment. Okay, and I've got these little clothes pegs, which we used to carry, but we don't anymore. But ordinary paper clips will do. And I'm just using these to hold the box in place. While the adhesive dries. And same thing up here. And I need a couple more clips, which I don't have, but I'll just take those from there because that will have had long enough to set up. Doesn't take very long. And there we go. So there's my little box. Now these edges have a tendency to try and stand away from the box, and when we've got it packed and we've got our gift inside, then we can hold that down with a little bit of tape. But I just want to make it a little bit neater, and I'm just going to take my snips and I'm just going to cut that away at an angle, and same thing on this side. And I'm going to try and get it even, but if it's a degree or two out, nobody's going to notice. Okay. So now that, oops, fit back together. So now that has a nice finish to it. And I have to stop because the sun is going crazy. A little while ago I showed you a project that I made using shaving foam marbling, and I kept all the scraps I had left over when I marbled that piece of, started off as Whisper White, and I've cut a little strip from my scraps, and I've cut it to, I think it's 1.5 inches wide by 3.5 inches long. Let me just check that. Sorry, 1.5 by 3.25. So that it's just a little bit smaller than the lid of the box. And I'm going to pop that into place, because that is going to be what is on the lid of my box. And now I also cut some strips that were 3/4 of an inch wide to fit on the side of the box, and I wasn't too sure about them, but I think I like them. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to line that up with the angle that I've cut. I'm just going to cut that away. Pop that in place. Well, that wasn't a very good angle, was it? Never mind. Can we fix that? Yeah, we can. Yeah, that's a bit better. And let's do the same thing the other side. And this time let's try and get the angle straight. That goes on to there, obviously. That now is starting to look rather pretty. Right, so for the end, I have another 3/4 of an inch scrap here that I need to trim to size. It would have been so much easier if I'd thought about doing this before, but hey ho. Such is life, it is what it is. Okay, so let's move that 1/4 inch in, trim that away, and put that in place. And I'm going to need to come back with my punch, which I've just put away, of course, and try and line that up again. Oh, it's not gonna work. It's not going to work with the punch, so what I am going to have to do is take my snips and just follow that curve. There you go. So yeah, so really should have done that before, but I didn't. So yeah, so there it is. I'm going to be doing some stamping using stamps from Label Me Pretty. So I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to use this one. I'm going to start off with the sentiment. I've got some Old Olive ink, and I'm inking up my stamp, and I'm going to stamp directly on to this piece of gingham gala or gala, depending on your preference. And I'm just holding the stamp in place just for a few seconds, just to let the ink transfer, because I find it gives me a better image. And that's quite nice. So I have the 1 3/8 of an inch scalloped circle punch, and I'm just going to punch this out. Oops. I'm trying to decide what colour I want to go in there, and I think I'm going to go with garden green, but I may try it a couple of ways and change my mind. So again, the stamp is mounted on my clear block. I take the pad to the stamp and not the other way around, and I'm going to press that down and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 while the ink transfers. Happy with that. So here's the pretty label punch, which matches that quite nicely, and I'm just holding it. Got my punch kind of halfway closed while I make sure everything is lined up properly, so that it's just gripping the paper but not really pressing on it. When I'm happy, punch it out, and there's my label. Off camera, I've been playing with the Bitty Blooms punches, and I've punched out quite a few little flowers in various shades of yellow and yellowy orange. So this one is Mango Melody, and this one I think is Daffodil Delight. This one's also Mango Melody, and there's a little bit of So Saffron in the background of that particular flower. And I've got 3 here that I've punched out in Pineapple Punch, which I almost forgot we had. Looking for shades of yellow. So I'm just shaping them with the end of my embossing tool. This is the Pick Me Up tool, and I punched out 3 little leaves, and I don't think I'm going to use the centres. I'm just going to use the 3 little leaves, and those are in Lemon Lime Twist. Just going to put a little spot of adhesive on the back of the flower. At least I am, if the glue decides that it's going to come out of the bottle. Just talk amongst yourselves for a minute. Alright, that's behaving itself now. So let's put a little bit of my liquid adhesive onto the back of the leaf. And as I have my tweezers handy, may as well make use of them. And the last one. Come on. Doesn't want to play. Okay, so now I have those three, and I've put coloured pearls into the centres of my flowers. Let me put the top on that before it dries up again. And all I did was I took my Stampin' blends, and this is dark pineapple punch, which is what I've done most of them, but for these three I'm going to use dark daffodil delight. And all I'm doing is taking my Stampin' blend marker and just literally colouring over the top of the pearls. And now I can have pearls any colour I want them. Okay, so this one is still missing its centre. So let's pop that in place. And yeah, I am an umpty. I have this handy, don't I? Silly, silly me. Okay, so let's pick up one of the... You see, now that was easy. Why didn't I do that before? Let's give it a little bit more tacky stuff. And same again. Pick that up. In it goes. Ah. You know, you just need to remember that you have these these things handy. Yep. Alright, so now I have a whole bouquet of little flowers ready to decorate my box. So now I'm ready to finish decorating my box, and before I do, I am compelled to point out that I didn't actually do the straightest job in covering the top of the box. And while one of the reasons I use liquid adhesive is because it gives me wiggle room, today I did not notice that I hadn't stuck it on straight until the adhesive had dried. But that's not going to be a problem because we can fix it. So we're going to start with our punched pretty label. As you can see, I have dimensionals on the back, and I'm going to pop this in place kind of in the centre of the box, maybe slightly towards the top rather than towards the bottom. Okay, so that now is covering a multitude of sins. I'm going to leave that one for the moment. Along here at the front, I'm going to glue one of the flowers. I'm going to use the glue dot. So this kind's pretty. So I'm just going to adhere to the glue dot. Oh, my phone is phone's telling me I've got mail now, so that sits neatly in the front there. I've stuck my flowers to glue dots, and now I'm going to pop them in place on the box, and as I'm sticking them down, I'm covering up that edge. Okay, so let's bring this one. Okay, so I think this one's going to need 5 to look anything like I want it to. Nope, don't like that one there. Let's take that one out. Come on, out you come. Pop that one down there. Let's have one of these. Pop it on a dot. Pop that away. And one more, just to keep everything balanced. And down at this side, we'll just put 3 flowers. And there we go. Right, so now here's the sentiment with dimensionals already popped onto the back of it. And that's going to go onto the top right about there, and I've got one more coloured and I'm going to put that along there. Coloured pearl, I should have said. I really should finish my words, shouldn't I? It's just that I get very carried away in the thought. And I am going to call that complete. And there it is, that is the finished box. I had a couple of flowers left, and rather than waste them, I decided I'd add them to the box. After all, now nobody can see that the edges of the panel aren't straight. So there you go. Inside it holds my 2 tea lights. Now I have to be honest and say this is quite a loose fit for the tea lights. They're okay that way, but the box is a little bit too long. And of course what I did is when I doubled the length of the box, I doubled the ease as well, and I shouldn't have. So I should have taken about 1/4 of an inch off that measurement. But hey ho, you live and learn. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you very much for staying with me to the end of the video. I really appreciate it, and I also appreciate it if you'd click that like button or subscribe to my channel, or better yet, leave me a comment, because I love to hear what you think about my videos. But that is it for today. Once again, thank you very, very much for joining me, and I'll see you again sometime soon. Bye bye.